So, yeah. Now, I have already told you to get this government book. If it is not available in bookshops, you can easily download it. The one that I have already sent you on the group, and you can have it printed out, right? There is the PDF file. You can have it printed out from the town. Right? Go to the bookshop and send the PDF, right? Then you can have it printed out. Or else you can buy the original book from one of the bookshops, but it is not that much available everywhere. That's the problem. The problem is there. No problem. You can have it printed out. The same, right? Okay. That problem is solved. Right. Now, today, all others except for one or two, all others have already started learning literature, right? Am I correct? You'll be in grade 10 next year. Yes, now you are in grade 9. You'll be in grade 10 next year. Yes, Manjula. Yes, Manjula. Rest. Any problem? Yes, no. No problem with that. Right, Uday. Now, have you got a tute? Did you get the tute printed out? Yes?
No.
No. Right. Uday, now from next week onwards, you will be sent the tute, right? You have to have it printed out. No problem for today. It's okay, no problem. Forget about that. Only for today, you can keep a small book with you, right? Have you got a book now? Book and pen? Yes. Now, Bude, literature means when you do literature, you have to do a lot of writing. Don't forget about that, right? I hope your English knowledge is okay. I hope you are very good at English speaking and writing without any grammar errors. You can write. I hope so. If there is any problem, you can join my English language class. It is held later. So, if your English knowledge is that much enough, then you can easily uh, start learning literature. Right? There are a couple of students here, those who are going to, those who have already, those who have started literature for the first time here in this class, and most of you have already started it. Okay, now here, this poem, can you see the screen now? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can see it clearly, no problem. Can you hear me clearly without any interruption? No problem with that, right? That means you can hear me clearly, right? Today, now this is a poem that is prescribed for your O level, right? You are lucky enough to start learning literature from grade 9 or grade 10. Now from grade 10, right? Okay, no problem. You have 2 years, but you have to do a lot of work to get an A pass here, right? Literature is not easy nor difficult. Is it clear to you? This is not an easy subject, but this is not a difficult subject either. Once you study, then you can easily answer the question. From your side, you have to do something. From your side. What? From your side, today, you have to do a lot of work. From my side, I'll do the rest. So, once you are given, once you are taught a poem like this, what you have to do is you have to learn it by heart. That's all. And find the new words. Try to get the meaning of the poem, both literal and metaphorical meaning. You know, if you take poem, the poem has two types of meanings. What are they? First meaning is literal meaning. The second one is metaphorical meaning, metaphorical or symbolized meaning. I'm going to teach you all these things. Don't worry about that. If you learn literature with me for another couple of years, you can easily get an A pass. I'll teach you, I'll give you all the tricks. I'll give you all the tricks how to write a fine answer, very good answer, so as to get higher marks. in order to get an A pass in your O-level examination. So therefore, you have to do one thing from your side. What is that? From your side, you have to read through the stories. There are four short stories and there are three novels, but you have to select only one novel. We better do. Most students do like to do vendor of sweets. So therefore, let's start with that. And Bring It On Home is also a simple novel, but comparatively, most students prefer Wind of Fates. Let's do that. You have to read this novel. Understand, all the incidents in the novel should be in here. The characters and the characteristics of the characters, all incidents and places should be in your mind. In addition to that, there are 20 poems. This is one of them. All these poems should be in your mind. Try to learn by heart at least 5 or 6 lines from one poem. And there are four short stories. All these short stories should be read. You have to, whenever you have free time, you have to read and understand. Try to understand all these incidents. All the incidents in the short stories should be in your mind. Then last, two dramas are there, two interesting dramas, right? Twilight of a Crane and The Bear. And these dramas are very interesting. You can read and easily understand these dramas. We'll be doing. Don't worry about that. Right. Once you practice, once when you read and understand, once all these things in your mind, then it will be easy for me to teach you how to get an A pass. The first thing you have to do is, I cannot make you do that. Understand? You have to do it. You have to get interested. You have to read this poem and try to understand it. I explain the poem, then you have to memorize that. Brought to memory. Understand? Learn by heart. Clear? Is it clear? Here is the poem, Bude. Today, we will be starting with this poem, Farewell to Barn and Stack and Free by A. Houseman. It's a very simple poem, right? It's a very simple poem and interesting poem. Hands up those who have already done this one. There may be some of you, those who have already done this poem. Yes? Raise your hand. No one? Wow. Okay, no problem. All of you, there are 10. All of you are doing this for the first time. Eh? Right. Okay, very good. No problem. Right, Pudin. Now take your book and write the title of the poem section. Now from next week onwards, you will get your tudes, right? In the tude, there is space in which, in this space, you have to write. For today, you get your book and write. You have to do a lot of writing in this class because you are the one who is going to write the test or level examination. So therefore, you have to practice writing at least 20 words per minute. You have to practice writing. The speed should be 20 words per minute. 20 words. Don't forget about that. How many words? 20 words. Between 15 to 20 words. You should be able to write between 15 to 20 words per minute, right? For 1 minute. Right, okay. Write the title of the poem. Farewell to Barn and Stack and Free by. So if you have dude, can we write? Yeah. No problem. For today, you write it down. Yes, you'll be sent the tute. Right? Don't worry about that. You can, after you get the tute, write in the tute as well. Right? For today, write it for practice. The more you write, the better your writing skill becomes. Understand? So literature involves a lot of writing. Don't forget about that, right? Literature involves a lot of writing. A lot of writing. In this class, we write a lot. Then finally, you will see the result. The result is an A pass, right? Okay, Budhe. Write the title of the poem. Poem. Farewell to Barn and Stack and Tree. You should always keep a CR book, right? You have to always keep a CR book. 40-page book, that's more than enough. Why? So as to write the new words. There are so many new words here. Yes, but now if you have already got that, I think some of you have got the tute, then they can write in the tute. If you don't have the tute, write in the book. Once you get the tute, then you can copy it into the tute. That means 2 times. Don't worry about that, right? 2 times means, that's why I told you before. The more you write, the better your writing skill becomes, right? So, right, finished? Okay. The poem, Farewell to Barn and Stack and Tree. Are you ready? Right. If you have got the tute, write in the tute. If you don't have the tute, write in the book only for today, right? Right, Pute. Now, hope you have written the title of the poem. Here's the poem. I'm going to read the poem one time, right? It's a very simple poem. See, by a houseman. Farewell to barn and stack and tree. Farewell to servant shop. Terence, look your last at me, for I come home no more. The sun burns on the half-moon hill. By now the blood is dried. And Morris, Mangust, the hay lies still, and my knife is in his side. My mother thinks us long away. This time the field were mown. She had 2 sons at rising day. Tonight she'll be alone. And here's a bloody handshake. And oh man, here's goodbye. We'll sweat no more on scythe and rake. My bloody hands and I. I wish you strength to bring you pride and a love to keep you clean. And I wish you luck. Come, lemons died and racing on the green. Long for me the rick will wait, and long will wait the fall, and long will stand the empty plate, and dinner will be called. Right. Okay, Bhute, once you read this like this, I don't think it will be clear to you. But this is what I am going to do. I am going to give you the simple meaning of this. Before that, don't think about this. There may be new words. There may be the words that you already know. Forget about that. I'll give you the line by line meaning and analysis, both literal and metaphorical meaning. Now, remember this thing today. Once you get a poem or line of a poem, that particular poem or that particular line of the poem has 2 meanings. What is that? The first meaning is the literal meaning, and the second meaning is the metaphorical meaning. What are the 2 meanings? A poem has 2 meanings. What are they? First, the literal meaning, and the second one is the metaphorical meaning. Literal meaning and the metaphorical meaning. Literal meaning and the metaphorical meaning. Right. In this case, Pute, you don't have to write the poem, right? I'll be sending you the tute. You will get the tute next couple of days. Don't worry about that. So therefore, you don't have to write this poem, right? Let's read it once. Farewell to barn and stack and tree. Farewell to servant shop. Terence, look your last at me, for I come home no more. The sun burns on the half-moon hill. By now the blood is dried. And Morris Mangust, the hay lies still, and my knife is in his side. My mother thinks us a long way. This time the field were mown. She had 2 sons at rising day. Tonight she'll be alone. And here's a bloody handshake. And oh man, here's goodbye. We'll sweat no more on scythe and rake, my bloody hands and I. I wish you strength to bring you pride, and a love to keep you clean, and I wish you luck. Come, lemons died, at racing on the green. Long for me the rick will wait, and long will wait the fault, and long will stand the empty plate, and dinner will be called. Now, there are some words that you already know, and some words that maybe you're not familiar with. But once you get the line may be a little bit strange and awkward meaning that may convey some kind of awkward meaning. The meaning is not that much clear to you. So therefore, that's why I'm going to explain the both literal and metaphorical meanings. All of you, there are 12 here. Remember, there are two types of meanings in a poem. What are these two types of meanings? First, literal meaning. Second, metaphorical meaning. First, literal meaning. Second, metaphorical meaning. There are two meanings in a poem. What are they? Literal meaning and metaphorical meaning. Right? Okay. I'll give you one example. Just keep listening to me, right? What do you mean by literal? What do you mean by metaphorical? Literal and metaphorical. Yes? Do you have any idea about that? One of you tell me. There are 12 here. Representing different schools in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka. Right? So therefore, there may be some, those who have already started literature. Maybe you already know about that. Now you are in grade 10 almost. Grade 9 means grade 10.
The surface meaning and deep meaning.
Yes, surface meaning and deep meaning. Right, very good. What do you mean by surface meaning? Right, Pude. Literal meaning means the meanings of the words. Meanings of the words. Now, for example, farewell to barn and stack and tree. Barn means what do you call in single? Atua, in which those days barns were available. Even nowadays, nowadays uh, there's a transformation that's called silos in which paddy is stored, barn. And stack means some kind of heap of hay, and tree, tree. Farewell to barn and stack and tree. Now farewell to means leaving, say goodbye. Farewell means to say goodbye. To say goodbye to barn and to stack and tree. Now this person, there's a character here. Character says goodbye to these three things: to the barn, to the stack, and tree. Barn means atua. Vibis vibis atua. And stack means a heap of hay, pidurugada. And tree, tree. Now this man is bidding farewell to these three things. Me manusya farewell. Say goodbye, farewell to barn and stack and tree. Now that is the surface meaning. That is the literal meaning. That is the literal meaning. Surface meaning. Literal meaning can be understood by anyone. Very simple. Even a grade 5, grade 6 student can easily understand what this literal meaning is. Literal meaning is a surface meaning. But metaphorical meaning, what do you mean by metaphorical meaning? Metaphorical meaning or symbolized meaning. That's a symbolized meaning or metaphorical meaning. Metaphorical meaning is the hidden meaning. There's a hidden meaning behind this line. I'll teach you that later. I'll teach you that later. There's a hidden meaning behind the line. Hidden. The hidden meaning cannot be seen easily. That's why we learn literature. Only those who learn literature can understand the literal and metaphorical meanings both. Understand? If you don't learn literature, they can only understand the surface meaning or the literal meaning. If you learn literature, if you are very good at literature, then you can easily understand the metaphorical meaning as well. Is it clear to you? Right with it. I'll teach you that later. The meanings are given later, right? So therefore, you don't have to worry about that at the moment. You don't have to write this poem either, right? You don't have to write this poem either. I'm going to send you the tune, right? But from next slide, you have to write a lot. From next slide, you have to write a lot, right? Okay, let's move to the next slide. Here, Uday, about the poet, A. Houseman. Look at this person. Look at this poet. How nice he is, right? He was born in 1859 and he died in 1936. Now, I'm going to ask you one question. Do you know about literal eras? Do you know about literal eras?
Yes.
Yes. What are these literal eras? Now, just tell me, one of you tell me. There are two main literary eras that we know
Yes,
recently.
there are two main literary eras. I think those are Victorian era and Romantic era.
Yes, Victorian era and Romantic era. Romantic era, Romantic literary era. Romantic era started in 1798. When? 1798, 1798. In 1798, Romantic era started and Romantic era ended 1837.
1837.
Yes, 1837. Then, after the end of the Romantic era, Victorian era started. Second, next one. Victorian era started. Victorian era started 1837.
1837 to 1901.
Yes, 1901 or 1901. Right? When Princess Victoria became Queen Victoria. Princess Victoria became Queen Victoria in 1837. 1837 දී වික්ටෝරියා කුමරිය වික්ටෝරියා රැජින බවට පත් වුණා. එතෙන්දි තමයි වික්ටෝරියා ඉරක පටන් ගන්න. ඒ අවුරුද්දම රොමැන්ටික් ඉරයක ඉවර වෙනවා. ඒ අවුරුද්ද වික්ටෝරියා ඉරක පටන් ගන්නවා. Then from 1837 to 1901, from 1837 to 1901, Victorian era runs, right? 1901, Queen Victoria died. In 1901, Queen Victoria died, right? Now you are going to learn all these literature eras as well in my class. There are so many things to do. You will learn so many things that you have never met before, that you have never learned before. Understand? Understand? Right. So therefore, what you have to do is, Pute, you have to stay with me. I assure you of having an A pass. Don't worry about that. You can easily get an A pass. There are some tricks that I have to teach you when you write an essay type answer, short answers and long answers. There are some tricks. I'll be teaching you all these things, but you have to do one thing. What is the thing that you have to do? From your side, your responsibility is to learn these poems by heart. Learn this. There are 20 poems. You have to learn all these poems. At least 5-6 lines, at least 5 or 6 lines from each poem should be in your mind. And for short stories, you have to read and understand all these 4 short stories. And 2 dramas, you have to read and understand these 2 dramas. And there are 3 novels, but you have to select only 1 novel. I do here Vendor of Sweets, and also later I'll be doing Bringing Tony Home. These 2 novels are very simple. But however, your selected novel, the novel that you have already selected, can be can be read and can be kept in your mind. You have to read that novel many times, at least 4 or 5 times before your examination. All the characters and the qualities of these characters, situations and the incidents and places, all these things should be in your mind, right? Then it will be easy for you to answer the question, right? Okay, Budhe. Now this is about the poet who wrote Farewell to Barn and Stack and Tree. The author, the poet is A. Houseman. How much time do you want? You wrote the title of the poem. Now write about the poem. The title is about the poem. And within 5 minutes, you can easily write this. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes and write this about the poet. Then I will explain it to you. There may be some new words. I'll give you the meanings of the new words later. Right? Don't worry about the meanings of the new words here. Meanings are given here. So therefore, don't worry about that. First, write about the poet. I'll give you 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes is more than enough. Write quickly. Right, Bude? While writing, you can listen to me, right? No problem, you keep writing. I'll explain, right? Here, about the poet. A houseman. Very simple. It's easy for you to remember this name, right? Houseman. A houseman. 1859 to 1936. All right, okay. Take another couple of minutes and write. And both if you have finished writing, I'll share with you the meanings of the new words, right? Then you can write the meanings of the new words. There are 2 pages, right? Yes, this is the second one. This is the first one. New words, and also write this one. Right, Uday? I'll explain the meanings while writing, right? There's another page like this. And after that, we can move to the poet. Right. Okay. New words. Steamed. Steamed means respected or admired. Steamed poet. Oh, steamed means respected poet. Respected poet or admired by everyone. Respected and admired. Classical, you know, classical means relating to the ancient Greek and Roman. Classical means very old or valuable. Old and valuable. Here in this case, classical means relating to the ancient Greek and Roman. Do you know? Greek literature, ancient Roman and Greek literature. That means classical literature. In classical literature, you don't have to learn classical literature. I have learned classical literature. Do you know Achilles' heel? And in which the Iliad, there's a what do you call that? Veerakavya, long narrative poem that is called Veerakavya, in which there's a character called Achilles. Achilles. Do you know that Trojan War, Trojan horse, a wooden horse in which some soldiers hide and go into the territory and kill? You may have heard that in that story. That story belongs to Greek or Roman literature or classical literature. That's classical literature means very old. That means classical literature existed during Lord Buddha's period, when Lord Buddha was alive, and before that, classical literature during that period, right? So classical means relating to the ancient Greek and Roman. Then civilization, Roman civilizations, or to the traditional style in literature or music. Classical means also traditional or very old. Traditional means very old style in literature or music. Very old literature and very old music is also called classical music and classical literature. Classical literature means all literature. Classical music means all music. Right. Then unrequited. 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 That means not returned or reciprocated, especially in the context of love. Love. Unrequited. Nevatta nolabena adare. What is the meaning? Unrequited love means nevatta nolabena adare. Nevatta langa karaganta beri adare. Love that you cannot achieve again. Love that you cannot get again. Next one is evocative. Evocative, not cative. Evocative. Evocative. Evocative means Pude, bringing strong images and memories of feelings to your mind. Right? If something evocates, that means some pictures come to your mind again and again. For example, if you read, even after you read this poem, later, once you are in bed, if you remember the incidents, the scenes of the poem, if they come to your mind, that's called evocative, right? Even after you finish reading something or you finish watching something, you remember the incidents of that particular piece of writing or piece of literature. That's called evocative, bringing strong images or memories or feelings to your mind, right? You read something, a novel or short story or drama or maybe a poem. After reading, after some time, you remember the incidents in the novel. You remember the characters. That novel has a great effect on you. Right? That's called evocative. That's because of evocative imagery. Evocative imagery. Right? Evocative imagery means pictures. You can you create pictures. You remember what happened in that novel, what happened in that short story. Right? Evocative. Next one is resonance. Resonance means the quality of being deep, full, and reverberating, often creating a lasting impact. For example, that means to have something in your mind for a long period of time, to affect somebody's mind for a long period of time. Resonance. You remember something or you have the impact of something in your mind for a long period of time. Resonance. The quality of being deep and full and reverberating, often creating a lasting impact. If you face, so for example, if you face an incident, for example, an accident, somebody meets with an accident, then, however, he survives in the accident, but at that time he was shocked. That shocking moment has an impact on his life, on his mind for a long period of time. Understand? That's called resonance. Resonance. Understand? To have some impact on somebody for a long period of time. Right? Okay. That's called resonance. Then next one is melancholy. 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 Melancholy means a deep, persistent sadness or sorrow. Deep sadness. Melancholy. Deep sadness. You're worried about something so much. Deep sadness. You're worried about something so much. A deep or persistent sadness or sorrow. Melancholy. Right? Next one is, it's very simple, imagery. What do you mean by imagery? Imagery is very simple, Pute. Imagery means to create pictures. Once you read the poem, after you reading the poem, after you read the poem, after you read the short story or the novel or the drama, or while you are reading that, you can create pictures. You can create pictures. Pictures come to your mind. That's called imagery. Nice pictures created in your mind when you read or even after you read that. That's called imagery. Descriptive language that appeals to the senses and creates mental pictures. Imagery means to create mental pictures. You can mentally create pictures. Right? When you read the poem, when you read the drama, when you read the short story or novel, you can easily create pictures as if you were in that place, as if you were one of the characters in the novel or characters of the short story. Right? You can see all these things as if they happened just in front of you, just in front of your eyes. Right? That's called imagery. You can create nice pictures of that. Right? You know the meanings, right? Okay. Have you finished writing the meanings? Can you please slide up to the previous slide? Yes. I'll show you. Yes, I'll show you. Don't worry about that. I'll go to that. I'll go to the previous slide. Before now, write the next new words. Right. Imagery is also already given. Imagery. Right. Distinguished from here. Distinguished, scholar, position, legacy, dual, influence. Right. These. After that, we are moving to the first right? Don't worry about that. We are moving to the first right. I'll give you about 5 minutes. Yes. Now, Pute, you have to remember something. That's you have to remember these new words, no doubt about that, right? That's why at this level, you have to write and understand. These new words are very important. These are advanced words which can be used in your writing so as to get higher marks. If you use these advanced words, complexive words in your writing, then you can get higher marks. If not, you cannot get marks. Understand? So therefore, these words are very important. These are the words that we always use in literature. That's why you have to separately know the word, their spellings, the pronunciation not that much needed, spellings, and especially the meaning. In which context this word used? In which context this one used? If it is used in this context, what does it mean? If this word is used in another context, what does it mean? That's very important, right? So therefore, it can only be done only through writing. It can only be done through writing, no doubt about that. If you write, you will remember the meaning, right? Oh, okay, right. Get another couple of minutes and write. Right, Uday? While writing, you can get the meanings, right? Yes, right. Imagery, it's also, it can also be seen in the previous slide. Imagery means descriptive language that appeals to the senses and creates mental pictures. Descriptive language that is used to describe something, and that can create pictures in your mind, right? This language appeals to your senses, appeals to your senses means eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and everything, and also feeling to your skin, right? Imagery. Descriptive language creates imagery. Imagery means pictures are created. Next one is distinguished. Distinguished, it's very simple. Distinguished means, Bude, having a, having a recognized excellence or reputation. Distinguished writer, that means a recognized writer, recognized excellence or reputation, reputed. Distinguished means reputed and recognized. Single meaning prasiddha, kirtimat, distinguished, right? Next one, scholar. Scholar, a person who has studied a particular subject in great detail and has expertise in it. Scholar means a person who has studied a particular subject in great detail. In great detail means that person has studied the subject a lot. For example, William Shakespeare is a scholar. He has studied literature a lot. That means he has written so many sonnets or poems and dramas. Scholar. He is a reputed person and distinguished literary figure in literature. A distinguished literary figure in literature. Scholar means someone who has mastered a particular subject. A science scholar, a math scholar, a literature language scholar, like that. Understand? A person who has studied a particular subject in great detail and has expertise in it. Right. Clear. Position. Position means a job, right? Position means a job role. Job or a role, especially one with a specific responsibility or authority. You have a specific responsibility, specific authority. Authority means power, right? That kind of job is called position. What's your position here? My position is the manager, managing position, like that. Management position, like that. A job or role, especially one with a specific responsibility or authority, right? Position. The next one, legacy. Legacy, what is the meaning of this? Legacy means something handed down from the past, often in the form of achievements or qualities that continue to have an influence. Legacy. In singular, legacy means budalaya. In singular, legacy means budalaya. Budalaya means something that you inherit from your ancestors, from your archisia or great grandma, great grandfather. You inherit that. But parampara ලැබෙන දෙයකට අපි කියනවා legacy, authority. And here in this case, legacy means some quality that you get, that you inherit from the past. අතීත කාලයෙන් ඔයාට ලැබෙන quality, some quality, some of your qualities, kindness, your some kind of knowledge, right, that you inherit from the past. That's called legacy. Something handed down from past. You receive it from the past, often in the form of achievements. Often in the form of achievements. For example, some children can speak English naturally because they inherit it from their ancestors or from their generation, right? That's called legacy. Then next one is dual. Dual means consisting of two parts or aspects. Two parts or aspects. Aspects means parts. Parts means aspects, right? Yes, very simple. Yes, consisting of two parts or two aspects. Consisting of two parts or two aspects. It's called dual. Next one is influence. Influence. Single meaning balapama. the power to affect or change something or someone. The power to. If you have influence to change somebody or something, that's great. Some people have influence to change others. Some people have influence to change situations. Influence means the power to affect or change something. The power to affect or change something. To change something or to affect something. Affect means balapano. Affect, balapano. That is the verb, balapano. Influence, balapama. Noun. Right. The power to affect or change something or someone. Right? Okay, let's move to the previous slide. Okay, this one. You asked for this one about the poet. I'll give you another 1 minute. There may be one or two of you just who want to write the last part of it. Just take another couple of minutes and write. Right, Uday? Okay, now I am going to explain. Right. Here, A. Houseman, 1859 to 1936, was an esteemed. Esteemed means renowned or very well known. Esteemed means well known or renowned. You know the meaning now, right? English classical scholar. Classical means, yes, belongs, his writing was classical and appreciated, now related to ancient time and ancient themes, right? Classical scholar and poet. Classical scholar and poet, best known for his lyrical poetry collection. Lyrical means lyrical. What do you mean by lyrical? Lyrical. Lyrical means with a romantic. Romantic means, lyrical means romantic, idealized. Lyrical, romantic, or idealized. What do you mean by that? Idealized, lyrical, or romantic. But the romantic means something that we, for example, romantic themes, for a romantic theme, example is love, nature, beauty, kindness, empathy, sympathy. Now, these are romantic themes. You know, romantic period from 1798 to 1837. 1798 to 1837, romantic period. During this period of time, there were so many poets, These poets talked about romantic themes. Romantic themes cannot be described or cannot be proven by science or maths. Romantic themes are abstract themes. These themes cannot be touched, cannot be seen, cannot be proven by science or maths, cannot be proven by reason. Given a reason, you cannot say this happens because of this. For example, somebody says, this flower is very beautiful. Another one says, no, this flower is not beautiful. This one, flower B, is beautiful, more beautiful than this one, like that. Different people have different opinions on different things. But if you say this is beautiful, another one can say this is not beautiful, this is ugly. You say that person is very kind, but another one say, no, he is not kind, he's a cruel person. But how to prove that? Can you prove it in a science lab? No, you cannot prove that. In a science lab, you cannot prove it. In a laboratory, you cannot prove it. You cannot prove he is good. You cannot prove he is kind. You cannot prove he is unkind. Such themes are called romantic themes. Understand? Romantic themes. Remember that. It's very simple. If you cannot prove anything by reason, by giving reason, then they are romantic themes. Beauty, nature, kindness, individualism. Now these are romantic themes. Romantic themes can only be thought of. You can only think about these romantic themes. You can only create pictures in your mind. Kindness, his kindness, like this, okay. But romantic themes have no physical shape, no physical entity. Understand? You can only think of, right? His kindness, love, nature, beauty. You can only think of. No physical entity, no physical shape. Romantic themes. And romantic themes cannot be proven by science or reason. Giving reasons, giving science, scientific methods, you cannot prove that. Lyrical poetry means also romantic poetry. Romantic poetry, that means he wrote about romantic themes. Romantic themes. Understand? Right. Poetry collection, Shropshire Lad. Shropshire Lad. Shropshire Lad is a collection of poetry, romantic poetry or lyrical poetry. This is a little bit about the poet, right? Now, best known for his lyrical poetry collection. What is his lyrical poetry collection or romantic poetry collection? A Shropshire Lad, right? Okay. His works often reflect themes of rural life, right? Yes. His works often reflect themes of rural life. Rural life. You know, rural means pastoral. Pastoral means very rural, related to village, rural life. And unrequited love. Unrequited love. Love that does not come back. If you have lost something, it's gone forever. If you have lost a girl or man, gone forever. They never come back. That's called unrequited love. Unrequited love means a love that never returns. Understand? These themes were his themes, right? And the inevitable passage of time. Inevitable. Inevitable means what do you mean by inevitable? Inevitable. At the same time, you can write these words were not there in our vocabulary list, in the glossary. These words were not there, right? Don't worry about that. Inevitable means cannot be stopped, unstoppable, cannot stop. Inevitable passage of time. Can you stop the clock? No, you can stop it after removing the battery. You can stop it, but time passing cannot be stopped. That's called inevitable. Inevitable means cannot be stopped, unstoppable, unstoppable, cannot stop. Understand? Inevitable passage of time. Time passing cannot be stopped. You cannot stop time passing. Time passes. We cannot stop that. That's inevitable. Now, these were his themes. Inevitable passage of time, unrequited love, and rural life. These were A.E. Housman's themes, right? These were his themes, right? Then, and also his poems were characterized by their simplicity and deep emotional resonance. Characterized, his poems were characterized or identified by their simplicity because of their simplicity. So, poems were very simple. Simple language was used. Some simple themes were used. So therefore, the poems were very simple. Because of that, the poems are characterized as simple poems. They were characterized by their simplicity and deep emotional resonance. Deep emotional resonance means resonance, then you know the resonance means to have a great impact. To have a great impact on something. Impact in your mind for a long period of time. Right? Resonance. You remember that again and again. You have great impact, right, in your mind. Something affects you much. Understand? For example, I told you the story of an accident. If an accident happens, you, however, luckily you survive the accident, but you remember that again and again. It's resonance that comes to your mind, haunting, that comes to your mind. Oh, like this. Yes. Suddenly you get startled. You remember that resonance, great impact on something for a long period of time. Understand? Maybe until your death. For a long period of time means maybe until someone's death. Right? Resonance. Then again, what is the meaning of this? His works often reflect themes of rural life. He wrote about rural life, unrequited love, and the inevitable passage of time that cannot pass of time that cannot be stopped, right? And also his poems were characterized by their simplicity and deep emotional resonance. Deep emotional resonance means some poems had great impact on some people's lives. Some poems and their themes had great impact on the reader's lives. Understand? Right. That's called emotional resonance. The Houseman's poetry, with its melancholy tone. Houseman's poetry, his poetry, melancholy tone. Melancholy tone means very sad. Melancholy means sad, sad tone. And evocative imagery. Evocative imagery, you know. Evocative imagery, that imagery, those pictures come to your mind again and again. Evocative. Evocative means you remember that again and again. Evocative imagery and melancholic tone. Tone is very sad tone. Tone of the poem. Tone of the poem means the poet, Houseman. The poet says the poem. The poet recites the poem. The poet tells us this story. So poet's tone is, poet's way of thinking is sad. Understand? That's called tone. Tone is from the poet's side, from the poet's perspective. Tone. Tone is related to the poet. Tone is related to the poet. When the poet writes or when the poet reads or recites the poem, his tone is very sad tone. That means melancholy tone, or melancholic tone, and evocative imagery, and also imagery, imagery is created again and again. We remember the imagery again and again. Evocative imagery has left a lasting impact on English literature. Because of this, now this evocative imagery and melancholic tone has left means has had some impact, has had some impact, has had some impact on English literature. His evocative imagery and melancholic sad tone, his evocative imagery and sad tone, evocative imagery and sad tone had a great impact on English literature. English literature. That's why we are still learning, even this time. Now the time is, yes, what is time? Yes, after 8. Yes, 8 past. Yes, quarter past 8. So This night also we are learning his poem, A. Hausmann's poem, right? That's why, that's because of that great impact. His evocative imagery and his melancholic tone and evocative imagery has left a lasting impact on English literature. That's why we are still learning, right? Even at this time, right? Okay. Additionally, he was distinguished. He was distinguished means he was identified. He was distinguished scholar of Latin. He could use Latin language, the Latin language well. Scholar of Latin language. He was a master of Latin language, holding the position of what? Yes, Kennedy Professor of Latin at the University of Cambridge. He was holding the position. He did a job. He was a professor. He was a professor at the University of Cambridge. Professor of Latin. Kennedy. Kennedy Professor of Latin at the University of Cambridge. Right. Okay. Then Houseman passed away. Passed away means he died on 30th April in 1936, leaving a dual legacy. Dual legacy. Dual means two. Two. Dual. Both. Dual legacy as both poet and a classicist. Poet. As a poet, he died. When he died, he was a poet as well as a classicist. Classicist means a person who appreciated ancient themes, ancient entities, right? Classicist always talked about ancient and some valuable entities, right? Classicist and poet. That's how the dual comes. Dual legacy. That's how a dual legacy comes. How? Dual legacy means poet and classicist. Two positions at the end, at the time he died. He was a poet as well as a classicist. That continues to influence these two positions, poet as a poet and also as a classicist, continues to influence and inspire readers and scholars alike. And after his death, so many scholars were there, so many poets were there, and his position as a poet as well as classicist continues to influence and inspire all the readers, those who read his poetry, had great impact, and also scholars, scholars also had great impact of his poetry. Is it clear? And also of his themes. Is it clear, Budhe? No problem with that. Right. Now what you have to do is you have to remember at least, now there are about 100 words here in this description, but at least you should write 50 words about the poet in your answer. I'll teach you how to answer the questions. In your answer, the first passage should be when you write an essay type answer. Essay type questions are given in the second paper. So second paper means second part. 4 essay type questions are given. So when you write essay type answers, the first passage should be about the poet or the dramatist or the novelist or the short story. One essay type answer question from short stories, one from drama, one from novel, and one from poems. Understand? You have to write 4 for the second part, the second paper. Right? In this case, when you write, the first passage should be about the author or the poet or the dramatist. Is it clear? Right. So in this case, in that case, you don't have to write all these things, but simple things. What should be written? His name and his birth and death, if you know, and what kind of themes he always wrote about. It's very important. His themes and 1 or 2 other pieces of literature. 1 or 2 other pieces of literature. Understand? Mainly his themes. What kind of themes he wrote about? That's the most important part. Here, his works often reflect themes of rural life, unrequited love, and the inevitable passage of time. You have to mention these three themes if you write about the poet. If you write about a houseman in your answer, you have to mention these themes. The themes he always wrote about. That's the most important part. Then you don't have to write about his position, and also he worked as a professor of Latin. This is not that much important because you have only 30 minutes. You have only 30 minutes for one answer. That means 2 hours for four essay type answer. Within 30 minutes, you have to write nearly 400, 450, 500 words. You have to write nearly 500 words within 30 minutes. Understand? That's why I told you 20 words per minute. 20 words per minute, 20 words, 20 into 30 means 600 words. If you write 600 or at least 500, 500 should be there. 450, 500 words should be there in your answer. That's why you have to practice writing 20 words per 1 minute, 20 words per minute, right? Okay, so then let's move to, now you have to study this, right? Study mainly, remember his themes and his work, Shropshire Lad, yes, Shropshire Lad, and birth and death, and where he was born in England, right? English classical scholar, that means he was born in England, right? These things more than enough. 50 words about the author, about the poet, that's more than enough, right? Okay, let's move to the next part. Right, you have already written the new words here, and also this one. Next one, put a literary era, literature era, right? Okay, literature era. It's very simple, right? I have given short description about the literature era. Write it. I'll give you another 5 minutes for that. I'll explain that later. Then also you have to write the new words of that. First write this one. Later you can write the new words. Right, Uday? I hope you have finished writing. Yes. Okay, now new words related to this is on the other page. You can write them. Hope you can read this. Belongs, era. Pessimism, these are the most difficult words, I think. Pessimism, a tendency to see the worst aspects, things, or believe that the worst will happen. Pessimism. Then stoicism, the endurance of pain or hardship, right? These are the most important new words. You can see this hyphen, right? After the hyphen, you can see the definition. New word or new phrase is there. Belong, era, pessimism, then stoicism, and after that characteristic, then prefiguring, emotional, introspection, skepticism. Right. I'll give you another 5 minutes to write this. Yes. Right, Uday? Hope you have finished writing. Okay. Now, belongs. Belongs means is part of or associated with. Belongs means normal meanings is part of or associated with something. Next one is era, literal era. Era means a period of time in history, characterized by particular events. Because of these events, this era is called this name. For example, because of Queen Victoria's kingdom or reign from 1837 to 1901. 1837 to 1901, she ruled England. Because of that, that era was named as Victorian era by her name, Queen Victoria, then Victorian era. Is it clear? And before that, 1798 to 1837, Romantic era. 1798 to 1837, Romantic era. Why? Because there were so many romantic themes such as love, individualism, beauty, nature, kindness, loneliness. Now, these were romantic themes. Because of these romantic themes or idealized themes or lyrical themes, it was named as Romantic era. All right. Then era means a period of time in history characterized by particular events or features or conditions. Right. Next one is pessimism. What do you mean by pessimism? Right. Pessimism means a tendency to see the worst aspect of things or believe that the worst will happen, a lack of hope or confidence in the future. Pessimism means negative thinking. Pessimism means what? Negative ideas or negative thinking. That means you are not certain about something. You always think something bad, something negative will happen in the future. You have no confidence. You have no confidence. You have no hope. You have no hope to do something. You have no expectations to do something in the future. You think in the future something negative will happen. Something negative will happen. That's called pessimism. Right. Then stoicism. Stoicism means, what do you mean by stoicism? Stoicism means, Uday, the endurance of pain or hardship without displaying feelings or complaining. A philosophy that promotes self-control and resilience. What do you mean by this? Stoicism. Stoicism means, Uday, the endurance. Endurance means you bear something. Dara ganima. Endurance means endurance. Dara ganima. Write the single meaning, no problem, right? Dara ganima. Endurance. Of pain or hardship. Pain, pain. Headache or head pain, something like that. Toothache or pain. Or hardship. Hardship means difficult time, during which you have no money, nothing to eat, no job. Hardship. Hardship means a period of time during which you have no money, nothing to eat, no job, right? Hardship. Without displaying feelings. Now, you endure that. You endure. Without displaying any feelings. Kisima feeling හැඟීමක් දනවන්න නැතුව පෙන්වන්න නැතුව you feel pain, but you don't try to show it to others. You are under hardship. You have no money. You have nothing to eat. You have no job, but you don't try to display. You don't try to show it to others. That kind of resilience is called stoicism. දරා ගැනීම. යම්සි දෙයක් වේදනාවක් අමාරු දුෂ්කරතාවයක් පෙන්වන්නේ නැතුව දරා ගැනීමට අපි කියනවා stoicism. Stoicism means the endurance of pain or hardship without displaying feeling or complaining, or a philosophy that promotes self-control. This philosophy promotes your self-control. Your self-control is promoted. and resilience. Resilience means flexibility, or you are flexible to any situation. If this situation is bad, you adjust yourself to this situation. If this situation is a poor situation, dire conditions, very bad conditions here, you, however, you manage yourself to live there. Understand? You adjust yourself to any situation. That's called resilience. ඕන තැනකට ඕනම විදිහට ගැලපෙන විදිහට ඔයා ඉන්ට සුදුසු ඉන්ට පුළුවන්කමට අපි කියනවා resilience. Understand? Resilience. Right. Now, stoicism means you have a pain, but you don't try to show that pain to others. Right? Resilience. You have resilience. Right. Next one is characteristic. Characteristic means, what do you mean by characteristic? Here, characteristic, a feature. Characteristic means a feature, lakshana. A feature means lakshana. Characteristic means lakshana. Characteristics means lakshana. Single meaning is lakshana. A feature or quality that is typical of a particular person. That's typical of a particular person. A feature or quality that is typical of a particular person. Place or thing. Place or thing. Right? In Nuvareli, for example, it's a place. In Nuvareli, it's very cold. It's very cold. Coldness is one of the characteristics in Nuvareli. In Kandy, it's a little bit cold. In Kandy, it's a little bit cold. It's also one of the characteristics in Kandy. Right? Right. Characteristics means lakshana. Next one, prefiguring. Prefiguring. Prefigure means prefigure. Prefigure means to see before. To see something before. You have to have an idea about something before it happens or in the future. Right? To have an idea about future. This will happen based on the following reasons, based on the following things, we can provide or we can foresee, or we can say this will have, foretell or foresee, this will happen. Right? That's called prefiguring. Indicating or suggesting something that will happen in the future. Indicating or suggesting that something will happen in the future. That's called prefigure. You think something will happen in the future. That's called prefigure. යම්ස් දෙයක් වෙයි කියලා අනාගතයේදී වෙයි කියලා ඔයා දකිනවා. නැත්නම් හිතනවා. That's called prefiguring. Next one, emotional. Emotional, you know, emotional relating to your feelings or emotions. Your feelings in your mind, emotions in your mind, relating to these feelings and emotions. Right? Feelings and emotions. What are the emotions? Empathy, sympathy. Listen, empathy and sympathy, karunava, dayava, anukampava. These are emotions, right? Related to these emotions, it's called emotional. Next one is Pude, introspection. Introspection means the examination or observation of one's own thoughts, feelings, and sensations, or self-reflection. Introspection means to examine, pariksha karla balana, or observation, hoyala balana, of one's own thoughts, kenegge situbili, or feelings, yage hangim danim, and sensations, yage danim. Now you examine someone's sensation, someone's feelings, you try to get an idea about another person, other person's feelings and his way of thinking, his sensations. Is it clear to you? His thoughts. You think and you try to come to a conclusion. You try to get an idea about other person's feelings and the way he thinks, his thoughts. That's called introspection. That's called introspection. And the last one is skepticism. Skepticism. Skepticism, it's very simple. An attitude of doubting the truth of something, such as a claim or statement. Claim or statement means something. Claim or statement means something somebody says. Claim means something somebody says. Statement means something somebody says. Statement. Right. Skepticism means you are doubtful. You are doubtful about that thing. You are doubtful. That means sakakarana. Skepticism means sakakarana. An attitude of doubting the truth. You doubt the truth of something. යම්සි දෙයක සත්‍ය ගැන ඔයා සැක කරනවා. ඒක ඇත්තක්ද බොරුවක්ද කියලා ඔයා සැක කරනවා. සැක කිරීම. Skepticism means සැක කිරීම. Right. Okay. Okay, Budhe. Now let's move to the previous slide. Right. Here. Literary era. What is this literary era? Houseman's poetry belongs to the late Victorian and early modernist era. Late Victorian. Victorian era, you know. Victorian era started in 1837 and ended in 1901. Late Victorian era means 1880, 1890, 1900. This is called late Victorian era. Late Victorian era. Late Victorian era means late. Late Victorian era means 1870, 1880, 1890. During this period is called late Victorian era. And early modernist era. After the Victorian era, after 1901, modernist era started. Modernist era is from 1901 to 1950. 1950. Until 2 years after we gained independence. 1950. Understand? Modernist era is from 1901 to 1950. All right. Now, early modernist era can be described as 1910, 1915, 1920. Now, this period is called early modernist era. Late Victorian era and early modernist era. This era, Houseman's poetry belongs to that. When you consider, when you think about his birth and death, you can have a clear idea about that. Understand? Right. Then his work often reflects here. These are the themes. His work often reflects the pessimism and stoicism characteristic of late Victorian poetry. You know pessimism, you know stoicism now. Pessimism and stoicism characteristic of late Victorian poetry. These were the characteristic. Characteristic means lakshana. These were the characteristic of late Victorian poetry. Late Victorian poetry means Victorian poetry, poems that were written after 1880, 1890, right, during that period of time, just before 1900. Just before 1900. It's called late Victorian poetry. Right. In this late Victorian poetry, what were the themes? Themes were about pessimism and stoicism. You know the meanings of them, right? Pessimism and stoicism, right? Then, while also prefiguring means to see something before, to see something before, and to prophet that something will happen like this, something will happen like this. That's called prefiguring. Prefiguring the emotional introspection. Introspection means to examine into another person's thoughts and feelings and emotions. And emotional introspection and skepticism. Skepticism means the act of doubting something. Skepticism of modernist literature. Modernist literature means literature that was available after 1900. After 1900 means 1900 to 1950. 1900 to 1950. That's called modernist literature. Now these were the main characteristics, main themes or main characteristics. His work often reflects the pessimism and stoicism characteristic of late Victorian poetry, while also prefiguring the emotional introspection and skepticism of modernist literature. Is it clear to you, Budhe? No problem with that. How do you feel? Is it difficult? Yes, I don't think it is difficult. Now we have not started the line by line analysis, right? Do you have any problem? Tell me. Yes. Yes. No problem with that. Speak. Yes. I'll give you a couple of minutes. No problem.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Budhe.
There's no.
No problem. Yes, that is very good. Very happy to hear that. Then we are going to continue with this poem next week. Next week we will be starting. Yes, about the poem. Only yes, from the eighth slide about the poem. Right, poem. We are going to talk about the poem next week, and we can. I think we will be able to finalize this next week, right? Okay, then after each lesson you are given a test, understand? After each lesson you are given a test, after each poem, each drama, and even during that you are given a test, right? Okay, but then thank you very much for joining. I hope to see you again next week at the same time. Come to class prepared, learn the poem, try to learn the poem by heart, and come to class, attend the class, right? Okay, then thank you very much. Goodbye, good night.
Good night, sir. Thank you.
Yes, good night.
Sir,
Yes, Vijay, yes, tell me.
sir, are you sending this presentation
Yeah,
to the
yeah, yeah.
group?
I'm going to send. I'm going to send. Don't worry about that. I'll send you this presentation, right? Okay, no
Yes,
problem.
sir. Sir, have a nice day, sir. Good
Right.
night, sir.
Good night. Good night.